The 49ers literally can't mess this up. I mean, they cannot mess this up, but also they can't mess this up. In this video, we're talking about the latest and greatest in draft news for the San Francisco 49ers. Plus, I've got some alternates to some other players that we should be talking about later in the video, so stick around to the end for that. Also, please consider hitting subscribe. We're going to do a 10K giveaway when we hit 10,000, so be one of those subscribers if you want to be involved in that opportunity. Matt Barrows was asked a pretty important question as he writes for The Athletic, and they had an article come out that was each NFL's biggest remaining needs after the 2025 free agency. And Matt Barrows, of course, he's always the one who does these all 32 articles. He always covers the 49ers aspect, right? And here's what he said. And of course, let me know, as always, if you agree or disagree, but I think we're going to have a lot of people agreeing with Matt Barrows on the 49ers' biggest remaining need, in general, being the defensive line. But watch how nuanced he gets here, because he gets a little more specific, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this. The 49ers lost 3/4 of their 2024 starting defensive line in free agency. An argument can be made that the team finally should find a bookend for Nick Bosa at defensive end. But the most glaring weakness is defensive tackle. As it stands now, Jordan Elliott and Kevin Givens are the top players there. The upcoming draft is deep at the position, and the 49ers should bring in both a quick, penetrating defensive tackle and big body who can occupy double teams and clog the opponent's running game. So the 49ers, according to Matt Barrows, need to put all of their, energy figuring out how to solve this problem ahead of all the others. So forget about who the extra edge is. Focus first on one fast, athletic, and one monster. Okay, so you need an athlete and you need a monster. That's what you're trying to bring into the middle of this line. Let me know what you think about in the comments. Let me know if you agree with that, because here's my issue, right? I like the idea of where he's coming from, and I actually am inclined to agree in terms of the problems that need to be solved. However, when it comes down to pick 11, and I'm not putting words in Matt Barrows' mouth here, he did not say anything about the first draft pick, okay? But when it comes to the first draft pick, usually, you want to take the best player available. And so I'm interested then, if you agree with Matt Barrows that it should be a defensive tackle, who do you go for in the first draft pick? Because there are some edge guys that can go in the first round that are worth taking a look at. If you decide to go for a defensive tackle, for example, and draft for your biggest and most intense need right out the chute, you're going to miss on some guys. So this is really interesting. The 49ers, then we learned just a couple days ago that they were having conversations with this guy right here, pre-draft meetings. Let me read kind of what Kyle Madsen wrote first, and then I'm going to piece all this together and what this means. Even if they use that pick, the first pick, on a defensive lineman, their needs are deep enough there that it would behoove them to use multiple choices on that position group. Agreed. No one's going to disagree with that. One player who figures to be available outside of the first round is SMU's defensive end, Elijah Roberts. He had a pre-draft virtual meeting with San Francisco, according to Draft Network's Justin Melo. Go with Carmelo, like Melo. Okay, anyway. The interesting thing here, and I got a lot more on Elijah Roberts, so we're going to get more into this idea, plus alternates, so don't go anywhere. But the interesting thing for me here is the 49ers have met with a lot of deeper round individuals, guys that are probably not going to go early on. I need to turn that stupid setting off on my camera. Guys who are further on, and Elijah is one of those guys. He's probably a third rounder. Could go higher, could go lower. That's how these things go. Drafts are funky things. But he's a third rounder kind of estimate, okay? And the 49ers are looking at him, talking to him, in addition to a bunch of other players, of course. And I want to get into some more nuance here, but I think it's just fascinating because if they do decide to go defensive tackle early on, then this is one of the guys you need to know his name, because this is one of the guys that the 49ers will be targeting potentially, or might be targeting later on. Okay, so let's get to the details. It's easy to see the 49ers falling in love with Roberts. He isn't the best athlete. Remember what Barrow said about needing a great athlete, but also just needing a monster? Those are my words. He isn't the best athlete, but he uses a 6'4", 285-pound frame with nearly 34-inch arms to win a lot. In 2 seasons at SMU, he racked up 131 pressures, 21 sacks, and 18 quarterback hits, according to PFF. Roberts primarily played on the edge at SMU, but his size indicates he may be able to kick inside. This is like a YGM kind of move, right? And rush from the interior as well. The versatility is something that 49ers have typically liked having in their defensive ends. Okay, so we got a versatile guy here, maybe not the most athletic, quote unquote, which is kind of funny because I always think of John Lynch loving athletes like Dominic Pooney, not the most incredible tackle coming into the draft, but one heck of an athlete. And look what he did as a guard. Okay, Roberts is a strong, well-built defensive lineman who has a lot of experience at different alignments. He likely lacks the length, twitch, and bend to be a full-time edge player, but his size and versatility could play well as a 3-4 defensive end who can move along gaps. Okay, thanks for the article from Kyle Madsen. Well, PFF had some more to say. Oh no, what happened to my PFF? Where is it? It's not there. Oh, man. Well, hopefully it shows up somewhere else. I had a PFF quote on it, but let me go to the details that I have, even though I don't have the quote. PFF graded him as the 6th best defensive end last year and 4th best the year before, okay? He is a highly rated defensive end. I know PFF grades are just PFF grades. They're not gospel. I'm not trying to act like they're more than they are, but that's still something worth paying attention to. Per the PFF grades, he's in at top 6 in all edge rushers in college football. That's a lot of guys. And top 4 the year before, okay? So he got the versatility. He's got the size. He's not like, big belly 300, but he's a big man. And he has the versatility to go inside, outside, which is what they loved about Yetur Gross-Matos, right? Now, what does it mean for the 49ers going forward, and what do they do about it? If the 49ers were to draft a defensive tackle, this is one of those guys that they will know on their big board, this guy, if he's still available in that 2nd or 3rd pick, I'm going for him. I would take him at that 3rd pick probably if he's your edge guy. And that's a huge caveat because there are other dudes out there. Personally, I don't want any funny business. I don't want the we'll fit this guy in scenario at edge. At defensive tackle, I think you can get away with that a little bit more. I say that knowing full well that last year, Malik Collins was not able to do what in my head should have been able to make sense. But I want a solid prospect at every single position possible, and I think the best solid prospects at the edge are going in the 1st round. And yeah, I get that. They are also for the defensive tackles, and they are also for the quarterbacks. And I get that you're always going to get the best prospects earlier on. I just think the amount of quality in this draft, I think you're going to be able to get great guys later in the draft that are going to have, abilities just like we saw there with Roberts. In my ideal world, I would say you go edge in the 1st round and you go and get a James Pierce Jr. You go and get a Mykel Williams. You go and get a Mike Green. These are the types of guys I would love to see the 49ers use that number 11 pick on to make a big difference. Don't play around with the edge position. This is something that we've needed for a really long time. And I think if you have 2 standout edge players, if you have 2 top talents on either side, that will give defenses nightmares. It will. It just will. And I think with Robert Saleh, if you have 2 great edge guys and the defensive tackle positions are a little iffy at times, I think that Fred Warner and Robert Saleh's defense can make up for that. I think that I believe enough in his coaching ability to find a way to make that work if you have those 2 outside positions sorted. I think things get a little bit trickier when you're messing up at the edge and you're messing up that outside containment. That's spoken like a true edge guy. I get it. If you're an offensive lineman you're probably like thinking about those defensive tackles. If you played defensive tackle, you're probably thinking about those defensive tackles. But I'm not a monster kind of player. The only way I can affect a game when I'm playing football is through sneaky moves and athleticism, right? I don't have that size. I've never had that size to be able to play that way. So in my mind, I'm sure my bias is playing in there a little bit. That being said, I was always the guy, on Saturday mornings, they're always like, dude, you should be the center. And I never wanted to be the nose in the defense. Anyway, I'm digressing massively here. If it were up to me, and I want you to let me know in the comments what you think, but if it were up to me, I would prefer to go edge early on because there are just incredible talents. There are also great talents at defensive tackle that I've seen projected to go in the second or third round. So you could take one of these guys at 11 and at early in the second round still have a meaningful move for a solid defensive tackle. That's just my gut. I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say about it. We're 30 days away from the 2025 NFL Draft. We're 30 days away, less than a month away from the 2025 NFL Draft. I'm hyped about it, as you can probably tell, and I can't wait to see what the 49ers do with this opportunity. I look forward to going through all of that with you as well. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, trying to hit 10K before the draft. We're going to do it. It's going to happen. Surely it's going to happen at this point. Appreciate you guys. Have a fantastic evening.